Everybody, welcome back to class. It's nice to see you guys again. So for today, guys, we are going to be looking at plot conflict. So conflict in plot. Before we get started, guys, conflict, the word, can anybody tell me what does that mean? Pretend I'm a baby. I don't understand. What is conflict?
I think it is like some kind of important events on a plot. Oh,
Yeah,
have we seen?
it is. It's an important event on a plot, and usually, the word conflict really means to fight. Usually, like if I say there is a conflict in the news, usually this means a war or something like this. If we talk about it in a story, what it really means is when two people or two teams want something different. And it's how nearly every story has this. Every story must have it. Dung, sorry. Have you seen Avengers Endgame? Well, has anybody seen Avengers? Just as an example.
Yes.
Yeah. So in Avengers, if Thanos, he comes to Earth and he has the Infinity Gauntlet and all these stones, and he says, "I want to kill everyone." And if Tony Stark is like, "No," and Thanos is like, "Okay," that's not a good movie. That's 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, I can go home now. Very fast. Conflict happens, guys, where Thanos wants to kill everyone. Tony Stark wants to stop him. So this is the conflict. This is like a very big conflict because there's fighting, but even our smaller versions has it too. So guys, that's one example. That's conflict there. And we're also looking at exposition. So we were looking at that, guys, for Freytag's pyramid. So exposition is about telling a story, guys. It's about letting the audience know what happens. So we're going to get started with our plot quiz. Just one moment. Let's see how we do. So guys, this is all still on Freytag's pyramid, which we looked at. Remember, where do we meet the characters? Is it at the beginning? Perhaps when it's the rising action, climax, or the falling action? So guys, here we go. This is exposition. So let's break these down a little bit more just for help. Exposition, guys, that is the opening of the story. Here we talk about the setting and the characters. We don't talk about the plot. We don't know what happens. We just meet everybody. So for example, in Avengers as well, in Infinity War, you meet Thanos and all his people, and you all meet the heroes like Doctor Strange, Hulk, and Iron Man in the park when the movie starts. Climax, guys, this is the big point. This is like the big fight. So we don't meet the characters here. We already know them. So guys, which part of the plot is the most intense? What do we think? Can anybody tell me quickly before we look at the answer? Yeah, it's the climax. The climax. So guys, remember the climax is the big part in the middle. It's the most intense, the biggest fights, the coolest parts. So it's the climax.
Yes.
Very, very good, guys. That sounds good. Let's have a look. Yeah, so characters and setting. So we're talking about this guy's exposition, remember, is the beginning. So we need to know who is in the story and where is the story. So for example, this is always an example I give. For setting, guys, if we have a story about students in a school at lunchtime, that sounds like pretty normal, right? It's like a kind of very normal story. But if it's a story about students in a school at midnight, okay, that story is a little bit different now. It's a bit more exciting. Or maybe like we say monsters in a school. Characters, we learned this at the beginning. Very, very good.
That sounds a bit creepy.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. But it's, perhaps a bit more, it's a different story than students in school. But we need to know it at the beginning of the story. Like, it's no good if you find the story is creepy at the end, You're like, I found out too late it was creepy. You need to know early on. So guys, what part takes place after the climax? Yeah, so remember, we say the climax is the high point, so falling action. So yeah, as we say here, what is plot? The sequence of events in the story. So yeah, guys, we can say sequence of events. What happens in the story? It's a big part of plot. A good way to help with this, I find, usually if you ask your friend what happens in the story, really what you mean is what happens in the plot. You know, the plot is the events. The story is everything. So it's the whole thing is the story. But the plot is what happens. Very good. All right, guys. Yeah, what is climax? We've had a bit of help with that one today, so let's have a look. Yeah, guys, it's the turning point between. Yeah, so it's the turning point in the story. Sorry to hide this control bar so you can see. A struggle between two characters. It's. I can see why that's confusing, but the point where the conflict is resolved, no, not quite yet. The climax is when we are resolving it, but it's not resolved yet. We're starting to. So yeah, guys, this is the exposition. So remember, we actually have it here. It goes exposition, rising act, or exposition, inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. All right, guys, very good. Let's have a look. Yes, rising action. Very, very good. Just be careful. Make sure everyone can throw in an answer there, guys. Most important part. All right, guys. If you have a guess here, please, because we're running out of time. I don't want to use the whole time. Thank you. So, guys, what do we think for this one? What do we think it is? Big point. What is it? The big point in the story? That climax. Yeah, very good. So, guys, the climax. And if it helps climb, I know, like similar to this word, climb up. Yeah, the climax. So the resolution, guys, will come in later. Falling action, very, very good. And then I wonder what our last question will be. So yeah, very, very good there, guys. Let's have a look up what we have. And resolution, very good, guys. The resolutions is the end. This is where like we solve the story. Very good. So let's, I'm actually gonna pause this one for a moment, guys. We're gonna have a little talk about it. So, sorry, 1 second. Disable the timer. So guys, full question view. The story's time and place is called the what? So I'm gonna have a look at the group, see who we get. Scarlett, are you there?
Yes,
So Scarlett, what do you think?
I think it's setting.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Yeah, it's the setting, guys. It's exactly correct. So we'd say, yes, the setting is the time and the place. So, like I said earlier, time is like a super important part of stories. Like I said, the story about school. If you have a story at school at lunchtime, that's a pretty normal story. If you have a story in a school at midnight, well, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit strange. So it's a different kind of story, different setting. And what is the conflict in a story? We had talked about this earlier. So let's see what we'll try out. Person else, Tom, what do you think?
I think it's the problem faced by the main character.
Yeah, exactly. It's the problem faced by the main character. This is the conflict that they have to face. There's lots of types of conflict. A little bit more about that. But yeah, very good. Very good job there, guys. So suspense and tension. Yeah, the rising action, very, very good. Let's power through these. I will ask now what we see. Let's have Minh Khôi, what do you think for this?
I think a struggle between two opposites.
Yes, two opposing forces. Very good. I mean, we have conflict in stories, but we have conflict like, every day. Like when Vietnam and China were playing football last week, we would say the Vietnamese team and the Chinese team were in conflict. They both wanted to score goals and win the game. That is conflict. Yeah, it just means the two people want usually one thing or different things. If Minh Khôi and I are going for lunch and Minh Khôi says, yeah, I want to get pizza. And I'm like, nah, I want to get burgers. That's conflict. All right, next up. So yeah, guys, character versus self. Now this is something we'll just briefly discuss for a second. So guys, internal, we say that is inside. Can anybody tell me what's the opposites of internal?
Uh, I think it is like some kind of me, like I am fighting myself about choosing choices that I have to choose.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I mean, it can be a big choice or a small choice. Like, do I want to play video games this weekend or study? Like, that is a that is a conflict I have every day. Every day I must do this. But yeah, like that is an internal conflict. And what's the opposites of an internal conflict, guys? Sorry, Zung, what do you think? You Zung.
I think it is the opposite word of internal is external.
Exactly, external. So external, guys, yeah, we'll probably have a question on it now, but exactly. Let's have a look quickly before we move on. So yeah, guys, it's true, because character versus nature. Like, you know, if we have a story like Moby Dick or these kind of things, if a man is hunting an animal, we'd say that that is the man versus the animal. Or maybe if someone must survive a hurricane, man versus nature. All right, guys, that is all the time we have for today. Good job there.